I like to hit the table. Moroccan style.
Just put it on that table.
The other table.
Or just something hold it. You good?
Move the plastic slide.
Good, Masha?
We're good.
Okay. Ready? Ready? Okay. Okay, we're ready to start. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. Happy Rosh Chodesh. All right, tonight we're going to talk about mental strength and stillness. Okay? All right. So a lot of people always come up to me usually and they say, how come life is so difficult? Why is life so difficult for me? Right? So I always tell them very simple. People are always they want to find an easy way out of life. At the end of the day, it's very simple. You're praying for the wrong thing. You can't wish your life is easier. You have to wish you were better. This is the number one problem. People always want the easy way out. They're waiting for life to get easier, and guess what's going to happen? It's never going to get easier. It just doesn't get easier. Life does not get easier. When you become stronger, you could deal with life differently. That's the main message for tonight, to explain to you guys how to develop mental strength. Because if you don't have this concept, if you're waiting on the sidelines for life to get easier, guess what? It hasn't happened since Bereshit, and it's not going to happen now. And that's something you have to understand, very, very important. And that's why I want to emphasize that if there's no class on motivation unless you have a plan tonight on self-improvement, one part of your life. You know, you are a result of what you do every single day. I can tell here, if I look around the room, I can tell who's working out here 5 days a week. I can tell. I don't have to ask. Because why? There's results. There's results of working out. When you do something, you get results. There's a reason why people do things. There's actually results. It's not you just doing it to do it. So the whole main purpose of this class is I don't want to motivate people. I'm not into the whole motivation. I'm here to you understand that if you don't make changes here, there's no changes. You have to physically make changes. All right. So we know that we are. Maxwell says something very says if you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. That's what I want to implement. I want to implement today talking to God. That's the main influences at the end of the class. To understand that why your life is happening this way, why you can't get. Are you okay with the camera? Okay, good. All right, let's hear what Reb Nachman talks about this. Okay, so he says something very very simple. I mean, he basically takes life in a little bit. He says a man of faith believes in God and has a very very good life. When troubles strike, his faith inspires him. When he trusts in God, he knows that everything is for his best. If he must suffer, he realizes it will atone for his sins. If it's not necessary, these troubles will ultimately bring him to a greater benefit. No matter what happens, he realizes that God ultimately does good. A man of faith definitely has a life. The secularist, God forbid, if a person doesn't have emunah, he has no life. Any little thing that happens in his life, he's questioning. He's always questioning people. You know, there's a difference between champions and people that are victims. Champions are always solution-oriented. Victims are always focused on the problem. A champion is always realizing, how are we fixing this? What can I do better? I got myself in this situation. How can I fix the situation? What's the solution? A victim is always saying, look what this person did to me. This is why I'm depressed. This is why this is happening to me. They're always blaming everybody else. As long as you keep on blaming everybody else for your life, you're always going to be a victim and you're never going to progress. So we're going to talk about a specific thing. The main purpose of a person doing this bodhidut is not only to talk to God, it's to calm your mind. There's a part of your brain called the amygdala. This is very important to understand. Okay, the amygdala is basically it's a little peanut almond shape in the back of your brain. Okay, this is like your sensor alarm, literally. So what is this responsible for? Anything that happens to you, for example, when you think fright or something's coming to you that's going to stress you out or anxiety, it shoots an alarm off the person. So it rattles the person. So listen to this. Guarding the front of your limbic brain is a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Its job is to assess every situation that you encounter. Then it tells your brain whether it's dangerous or not. This is very important. To use this analogy, think of your limbic brain as a car owner and the amygdala as the alarm system. Think about it. You know how you have those sensitive alarms? That any little wind that comes, the guys it's already, the car alarm's going off every minute. You know how you have those people, any little thing that happens, the guy's already screaming at everybody. Any little thing that happens, he's very sensitive to anything. So he says, every time the car alarm detects what it perceives to be a threat, it's going to go off and make a lot of noise. This is like your little panic button in your. So anytime you think of, for example, fear, danger, etc., It's like literally, normally it's not on this button because it doesn't perceive danger normally. It only perceives danger when it perceives a threat coming to you. But what happens when you're constantly under threat in your life because you don't have emunah or because you're not doing enough mental strength exercises to deal how to deal with life, then instead of going on a mode of off, it goes on. So imagine living in a life that the car alarm is broken. And all day long, woo, 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 woo. This is what happens in people's life. And all of a sudden they have chronic anxiety. Yes, one time the alarm goes off, it's okay. 2 times the alarm goes off. But if it's going off every half hour, every hour of your life, because you're not picturing or you're not comprehending life the right way, then guess what? Your life, you can't focus on anything because you're in constant anxiety mode. And this anxiety mode is why people need to take so many pills, because they need to calm down. They need to calm down. And that's what happens. So the purpose of tonight's class is to really tell you that you must do some kind of meditation or hisbodedut. Otherwise, this is going to be your life, because the only way you can calm this alarm down in your back of your brain is through this practice. There's no other way, unless you take a pill. And the pill is going to take you, maybe it'll give you 3-4 hours, it'll calm you down. Not only that every time this alarm goes off in your brain, which senses stress, it takes you 4 hours to recover. Do you imagine this? 4 hours. It takes you 4 hours to recover from anger, from stress, from fear. So guess what? I'm going to work at 10 o'clock. I have an 11 o'clock phone call that rattles me. It's going to take me to maybe 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon to recover from that alarm, which was really nothing. It was really something I didn't interpret properly. So imagine constant chronic, this is your daily life. Of course you're going to be depressed. Of course you're not going to accomplish anything. Of course you're not going to be able to focus. Of course you're not going to be able to accomplish anything. So that's why we have to work on calming the one thing that's changing, that's responsible for setting off the alarm, right? The car is not the problem, it's the alarm. The alarm is very sensitive. Every time the wind blows, the car is on. I know people like this. And not only is their life miserable, but they make other people's lives miserable. It's not only you can make your spouse miserable, you can make your family miserable, your kids miserable if you're a constant time bomb. So that's the purpose of tonight's class. I can tell you, listen, you got to learn Torah, you got to do this, you got to do that. But I'm going to tell you something better, because I don't want you to waste 4 hours dealing with recuperating from a constant stress every minute. That's the real problem that's going on nowadays. Many of the rabbis are not in the mental health business, so they don't realize that. But the real problem is people are constantly recovering from stress. So if you're recovering from stress, of course you're not accomplishing anything. How could I expect you to put a book in your face when you're constantly stressed out about what happened to your work? You think you're going to be able to focus on the prayer? Are you kidding? Impossible. How could you? It's physically impossible, because your body's shooting cortisol, adrenaline, all these kind of chemicals in your brain that are interfering with your service of God. And that's what's constantly happening. So people come to mincha, they come to prayers, and they're constant on alarm. They're in alarm mode, and of course they can't concentrate. So Rab Nachman says here in lesson 60, he says something. And unfortunately, because you're giving so much power away because you're worried about money, you're worried about everything in the future except for now, then what's happening? You're going to be spiritually asleep. The one thing you need to work on with this sensor is through talking to God and meditation. That's the only way to calm it down. That's the only way to take the battery out of the alarm. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're not doing this, I don't know how you do it. I envy you. Because I don't know how you live life without having a conversation with God or some kind of meditation. Because how else do you control your mind without a pill? Maybe you can write a book on it, but it's not happening. So that's why we emphasize that at the end of the class is going to talk to you about that. Because if you don't stop these constant fears and these constant stress and these constant anxiety, your life is 20 years, 10 years, this is the story. You're going to end up in some kind of rehab, you're going to end up with some kind of psychiatrist, you're going to end up just talking about all your problems. That's what's going to happen. It happens all the time. 25% of Americans are depressed. Bottom line. 25% of Americans, 40% of Americans are taking prescription pills for something. Because not only, people understand, not only does stress affect your mind, It affects your body. It makes you gain weight. Cortisol is what? Sugar rushes. What happens after the storm is over? After the whole balagan's over at the office? All of a sudden you went crazy for no reason. What happens when that's over? The sugar that came to attack that rush sits in your stomach. That's how people get fat. That's how people lose their hair. That's how people get all kinds of stress. And then one thing leads to another. Okay, that's why I can't stop emphasizing this, because this is really the key to everything. You got to calm down. You got to breathe. You got to calm down. You got to have a conversation with God. You got to get your mind settled, and then you'll be able to talk to God. He says, for there are many people who are, Rav Nachman says in Lesson 60, there are many people who sleep away their days. Although it seems to everybody that these people are serving God, and they're occupied with Torah and prayer, they got a book in their hand, and they're shaking their head. Right? I know plenty of people like this. Right? And their beards, and they have payas, and they have 25 breads, kemak yashad, they have all the stringencies in the world. And they're served and occupied with Torah and prayer. God, nevertheless, has no pleasure from the service. He's got no pleasure from the service. Nothing. Zero. Zero. No pleasure. You think, so if you're not really, if you can't sit there and go to prayer and focus on what the words mean and sit there and calm your mind, that means you're thinking about something else. If I'm thinking, imagine a person thinking about another, imagine a person on a date with a girl, and he's thinking about another woman in the date with the girl. You don't think the girl's going to pick it up right away? Why is your head turning? You look like you're in a tennis match. You're looking here, you're looking here, you're looking here. That's the same thing. I see people pray, I see people daven, and they look like they're in a tennis match. Looking everywhere else but up there. So Breslov is really service of the heart. It's not just to come here and just be redundant and be like a robot. You got to literally mean what you're saying, because otherwise there's no arousal. Nachman says, when fear and love are absent from one's Torah study, concentration of the heart and mind, that means if the heart and the mind are not together, there's no arousal, because you have to have feminine waters and masculine waters. There has to be a unification of Shefa. That's the way Shefa is made. When there's Kavana, that's why there's so much emphasis on a person's heart being connected to God. And the service of the heart is prayer. And the best way to really have intentions is when you talk to God out of your own heart. That's the best prayer. That's the real. So if this is what you're skipping on, this is the key. And I never forget when Rabbi Rush came to my house, and there was maybe 25 people there, all getting advice. Rabbi, I have this problem. I have a problem with Shalom Bayit. Here you go. Here's the recipe. An hour is bodhidut. Rabbi, I have a problem with my business. Here you go. An hour is bodhidut. Rabbi, I have a problem with my knee. Here you go. An hour is bodhidut. An hour of prayer. Talk to God. Talk to God. Everybody got the same prescription. Everybody. But Rabbi, this happened to me. My wife is crazy. Blah, 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 blah. Here you go. Did you hear what I said? Yes. And I think Rabbi Rush is the tzaddik of the generation. He knows what's going on. He gave everybody the same prescription. You have a problem? Remember, any problem you have here, it's a spiritual problem. If you think you have a physical problem without a spiritual problem, you're completely off. Every single problem starts first as a spiritual problem, then becomes a physical problem. If you think that the physical problem is not the spiritual problem, you're completely confused. So guess what? Stop focusing on the physical problems, and let's work on the spiritual problems. Let's fix the spiritual, because once you fix the spiritual, you fix the physical. You got it? You're fixing the wrong one. And that's why some people, they're very frustrated, and they think God abandoned them. He didn't abandon you. You're just in the wrong direction. So it says, there's a famous line, if you don't have 20 minutes to talk to God, then you need 2 hours to talk to God. If you don't have 2 minutes to talk to God, you need 2 hours. Because it can't be that your life is so disarray that you can't cut 20 minutes in your day to talk to God. He's the one that's giving you chesed, He's the one that's giving you din, He's the one that's making every move in your life, and that's the ultimate place where you don't want to do. Think about it. It's amazing how much I have to sell this concept. How much I have to sell people in an Orthodox synagogue to talk to God. Maybe in India you have a better shot. But think about it, just logically. Listen, it doesn't come easy. I'm going to be honest with you. The first 10 years of my life I was in Breslov, and I was very involved in Breslov. And it took me 10 years to talk to God. 10 years! And I only did it after my life caved in on me. That's the only time I did it. So it's not an easy thing. But that was the greatest thing that could have happened to me. That my life caved in and in such a short time. Because if it wasn't for that, I would be listening to everybody else. You talk to rabbis, they tell you, don't do Hizbah, you don't need it. Bittul Torah. You don't need it. It's like a rabbi telling you, don't do exercise, you're wasting time. Meanwhile, the guy's depressed and you have a better chance of doing exercise and getting than Zoloft nowadays. So the lack of guidance in this generation is off. There's a lot of lack of guidance. So in Breslov, we focus on one thing, getting close to God. Once you get close to God, then everything else becomes you can feel the mitzvah, you can feel the avoid, you can feel it, instead of just doing it out of routine. I always said this a million times. Anytime you put a low effort into something, it's because you're looking at something as an obligation, not as an opportunity. Anytime. Think about it when you don't want to go to work, you don't feel like working, I don't feel like doing this. It's because you're looking as an obligation, not as an opportunity. And what do you think God does when you have that mentality, when you have that attitude? Then the shefa doesn't come, because God has no pleasure from the service. Just because you're here doesn't mean you're here. I mean, you could be thinking right now of China, and your mind could be right now, your body could be here, but you could be in China right now. Who knows where you are? Does it mean you're listening to the class? Does it mean you're going to retain the class? No. Some people will retain the class, some people won't, depending on where your head is. So that's why you need to be able to control your mind on what to focus on, and how to control your mind, and getting this inner peace. That's why the whole thing I keep on pushing to people. So we realize just because you're doing something doesn't mean you're doing it. Sometimes God gets more pleasure from a simple Baal Tshuva that just started got into religion, he's putting his heart into the prayer, than some rabbi in Israel that has no emotions, that has no energy. Yes, sometimes he gets it from a little person, a little guy who puts his heart into it, or even women. Women are very spiritually. They have a lot more kavanah than men. Sometimes God gets more from them than guys, because we're too busy fixing. So the purpose of this class is to really control your mind and stop setting your alarm on false alarms. Because if you set your alarm on false alarms and the amygdala goes off, that's the one that shoots off the cortisol, then you're going to be constantly on recovery mode. If you're recovering all the time, what are you doing? You're like recovering all the time. Stop recovering. You got to hold your emotions. I always tell people, you have to find a way, instead of reacting, animals react. You have a problem, an animal reacts to. What's the difference between you and an animal? An animal reacts. He sees somebody taking something, he reacts to it. A human being with that responds. Response means I don't have to answer you right away. I can think about the situation, I can analyze the situation, and then I can tell you. I don't have to. I'm not impulse. That's what's destroying everybody. It's this impulsiveness that's happening. And that's happening because of a lot of neglect. A lot of neglect in the body, a lot of neglect in the brain, a lot of thoughts about the future, a lot of thoughts about the past, combination of a lot of things. So the little organ that's responsible for concentration, this is the one you got to work on. This can only be improved through talking to God or some kind of meditation. That's the only way. That's the way. Or learning Torah can help you also calm it down, calm your brain down, stop the racing from your brain. A pill's not going to help you because it doesn't fix the spiritual side of it. The pill only fixes the physical, doesn't fix the spiritual. What is the pill? Prozac is going to get you to Olam Haba? Zoloft is going to get you to Olam Haba? No. This is what's going to get you. This is what's going to get you. Okay? So let's talk about a few things. All right? So bottom line is we're giving a lot of power to other things in our life. We're constantly giving power away. So that means every time we are living in a world that we're giving our power away to something, and we are paying the price today for which is causing us all this anxiety. We're giving the power away to money. We're giving the power away to all our tavot. Reb Nachman says clearly, you don't know how much I speak about food. How much the food is putting people to spiritual sleep. There's people that are sleeping because of eating the wrong foods. Sleeping. Anytime you eat the wrong foods, what happens? Your body jacks up sugar, and it creates a brain fog. Brain fog means I don't have clarity. So the bottom line is we got to get our power back. So, again, people say, I don't have time for his bodhidut. I don't have time. This is a common problem that people say, right? So it says here, going nowhere faster will not get you somewhere. You're going nowhere faster. It doesn't mean you're going to get somewhere. Right? Going nowhere faster will not get you somewhere. Remember that. It's not a lack of time, it's a lack of direction. There's a lack of direction. There's a lack of direction. You're not hitting the problem where it hurts. And again, I'm guilty of this also. It took me 10 years to do his bodhidut. And people are taking this, I think I should do his bodhidut. It's good for me. Maybe I should do it. No, you have to talk to God. Who else are you going to talk to? Your therapist? Who's going to talk to you? Your attorney? You're depending on your attorney to get you out of a problem? You're depending on your therapist to get you out of a problem? You're depending on everybody else but God? Yes, the therapist is a shliach. God could send you a therapist to give you a boost. No question. You need therapists. But the main thing is, the only way to fix it. Lesson 259, Rav Nachman says very clearly. He says, when a person secludes himself, he's giving you a guarantee. When a person secludes himself and speaks his piece of woes to God, confessing and regretting the enormity of blemishes that he's feeling, how far away he's feeling. God, I can't get married. God, this is happening to me. God, if he starts speaking to him, likewise the Shekhinah faces him. Remember, first you have to bring the Shekhinah down to you. The whole purpose is to get close to God. You got to bring the Shekhinah down to you. When you talk from your heart, you bring the Shekhinah down to you. This is because every blemish that a person makes on his soul, he also makes on the Shekhinah. Don't think that Hashem is not suffering, that the Shekhinah is not suffering when you're in a rut. It's also suffering. It's upset that God doesn't want to punish a person. God wants to help a person. He's dying to give the guy bracha. He's dying to give the guy shefa. All you have to do is make a vessel. There's nothing greater than God wants to do is to give. He's merciful. He's patient. He wants to give. All he wants you to do is make a little effort to go in the right direction. So he says, this is because every blemish that a person makes on his soul, he also makes on his Shekhinah. This is the aspect of you declared God, and God has declared to you. Thus, once you make an effort to go out there, she consoles him by letting him know that she will seek strategies on how to correct all your life. God's giving you a guarantee right now that if you do this, if you do his bodhidut, and if you talk to God, if you have a set time, if you take it seriously, Hashem is going to give you a strategy how to correct all your problems. Do I have to say anything else but this? There you go, it's in writing. Rav Nachman said it 215 years ago. The Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is going to give you the solution. Nothing else you need. You're going to everybody else but the thing. That's what Rabbi Rush said. You have a problem? I don't care what your problem is. Your wife is bipolar, this is this, that one's crazy, your business is down. Talk to God. That's going to be the solution. Once you have that solution, you're going to have the strategy. 99% of my ideas come from his bodhidut, come from any single problem that I have in my life, which is not a problem because I turn it into an opportunity. Very simple. I know I wake up 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever time I wake up that day, I have that appointment to talk to God about the problem, and the problem gets fixed. Because I know it's a spiritual problem. I'm not focused on physical. I'm not going to call my attorney 3 hours and explain to him about my headaches all the time, and thinking and relying on him. Clearly the Gemara says, cursed is the person who relies on a man. If you rely on a person, if you rely on a man to get you out of a problem, good luck. Good luck. Guess what? He's not going to be able to. Because he's only an agent of God. He's an agent of God. Rav Nachman says if a person doesn't have emunah, he has no healing. He has no healing. So what's the biggest common problem that why people cannot start doing his bodhidut and talking to God? It's because they're judging it too much. They're saying, I'm not good enough. I didn't do it good. How do you know what you did good? This is the biggest problem. People say, I didn't feel anything. What are you supposed to feel? Is there a magic wand? Is there a what are you supposed to feel? It's like brushing your teeth. Just do it. Don't. You keep on judging. People judge. Even if you sit 10 minutes, Rav Nachman says, and say absolutely nothing, if you don't even say a word, upstairs is the hugest thing in the world. That's where people are going off. I see people, they do it 2-3 days, they feel good, they feel great. The next day, they don't feel good. Oh, it doesn't work. Why are you judging? Sometimes people are going against themselves. Why are you judging the meditation? Why are you judging this bodhidut? Who do you know at that particular time that could be the best one you've ever done? The fact that you had so much obstacles upstairs that for you just to get there and say absolutely nothing, that was your accomplishment. When you're in a storm, are you supposed to go 2 miles? No. When you're in a storm, just opening the door is enough. So people judge, they're judging everything. My prayer is not good. My this is not good. My that's not good. Stop judging. Stop judging. Because you're judging, you're shooting against yourself. I'll tell you why. Because the minute a person starts getting close to God, he has to constantly go through, this is another thing that most people, they get knocked out. Every time you go to a new level in serving God, there's a new obstruction out above. That means you start good for 3-4 days. Next thing you know, the Yetzer Hara says, "Well, look at this guy. Where is he going? He used to be sleeping at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now he's up to go to shul. What is he doing, this guy? Where is he going? Let's rattle him a little bit. Let's see if he's really worth it." The Yetzer Hara could take a shot at you. And to see, he's very excited. Sometimes Hashem will give the guy 3-4 days without any obstruction. So he comes, he's excited, he's doing his thing, and the third day, boom! All of a sudden, he has a bad day at work. You see, I came to shul 3 days in a row, and it didn't work. That's what he tells himself. So he says, this is not working. It's not working anyway. I knew I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have listened to these crazy Breslov people. They don't know what they're talking about. What am I listening to them for? But guess what? Even in psychology, forget religion. Forget Breslov, forget religion, forget everything else. Even the Goyim are telling you that in any kind of improvement, there's no such thing as an approach of going up like this. There's no such thing. This is psychology telling you this. This is not even a Jewish person telling you this. Rav Nachman's constantly, that's what I'm trying to show you. Scientifically. You have to go up, and you have to, now it's not that you're going down, you went up, and you just have to go down, but you're not at the same level as before. You're at a new low. But now you go to a higher low, a higher high. And then you constantly go to a lower. You always have to have that drop. Just like you have a day, you have to have a night. But it's not like you're at here. You're not here. You're not at the bottom. You're just at a new level. Anything in religion, this is the number one practice. The minute you get enthusiasm, you start getting excited because you hit that new level. Then the Yetzer Hara says, okay, now we have to break the next level. 99% of the world gets knocked out on this chart. They start doing something good, they feel good, boom. You're not going down. People are telling me, I don't feel it, I'm going down. Who says you're going down? You're not going down. You're going up. You have a new enemy. You have a new enemy. Does it mean all of a sudden if I lift 100 pounds and tomorrow I lift 120 pounds, does it mean I'm getting weaker? No. It's just more strength that I have to deal with. And I have to train myself to become stronger and stronger. And this is not even a Jewish chart, by the way. This is from a psychologist, a very well-known psychologist. He's showing you that all of his patients have shown that all his patients they got much better through the treatment, and then they dropped automatically. And then they went up again, and then they dropped. But they didn't drop to the level as the first level. There's a new level. So sometimes I have meditation as bodhidut. I go outside. I'm like I can't even say one word, but I just sit there. Okay, let me just chill out. Let me put some music on, and that's it. I don't say I'm what's happening to me. I'm not doing good. I'm falling. Blah blah blah. Why would I say that to myself? Why would you say that to yourself? You're only incriminating yourself. Why would you tell yourself you're falling? It's the stupidest thing you could say to yourself. You're not falling. Because if you understand the way it works, that there's no way a guy can go up, 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 up. There's no such, this doesn't chart. The long line doesn't work. It's physically impossible. Nobody did it. And you're not going to be the first one. You're not going to be the first one to go up, 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 up. So they feel a little resistance, I'm falling. Every time I get to say, I'm falling. Why do you think you're falling? Because I did 3 days, now I can't wake up. You have a new opposition. You're really going up. You're not falling. It's a lack of information. And this is why the Yetzer Hara, he has it. So now you have to take this chart, which is not even, again, it's from a psychologist, of charts of millions of people, how showing the progress through therapy, how there's always a drop between a rise. Drop, rise, drop, rise, drop, rise, drop, rise. But you're really climbing. You're not falling. Remember this. Remember, this is so vital. Even in a marriage. You hear people telling me, I don't know what happened. We had such shalom bayit for 2 weeks, and next thing you know, what happened to my wife? Think she's crazy. No. It's not just she's crazy. You have anything. Business, you have a cycle, next thing you know, you have a drop. The next one's up. You have to go through this. You have to go through life. You have to look at this chart, and this is a chart of life. This is religion 101. There's no such thing as a guy flying all the time. Don't get knocked out by the Yetzer Hara's thinking you don't feel good. Yes, there's going to be days that you don't feel like praying. Doesn't mean you're falling. There's going to be days that you talk to God, you don't have nothing to say. There's going to be days that you're going to talk like a bird. Ba, 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 ba. And days that you're going to say absolutely nothing, and you're not getting judged one way or the other. You're going to a higher level. You're getting stronger. This is what you have to understand. This is number one rule in Breslov. Rav Nachman said he used to fall 1,000 times and got up. Fall, got up. But that means you just have to become stronger and knowing that there's more resistance. So when there's more resistance, you got to be stronger. And sometimes there's a time in your life where you have to say nothing. Zero. And let things pass. It's called putting yourself in a state of bittul. When you go to the dentist and they take your teeth out, do you talk to the dentist? Hey, why is it hurting me? Shut your mouth. They're taking your teeth out. You don't have to talk all the time. Just calm down. The pain will go away. Let the tooth come out. And then you can talk. I want to talk when my teeth is getting pulled out. Not every time it's time to talk. Just calm down. People always want something. What's happening? What does this mean? What does that mean? I saw a bird. What does that mean? What does that mean? Calm down. I tell people, God did not make you into a mikubal. You're not a mikubal. You're a human being. He wants your effort. He wants your heart. He wants your effort. And He wants your sincerity. That means when you talk to God, He tells God, I'm down. I don't know why I feel down today. This is my situation. Remember why it's so important in His Bodhidut. His Bodhidut is so important. One thing greater than ever is because all the problems that a person experiences in his life is because of one reason. It's because of what? It's because of his ego. His ego. The ego is the root of everything. The ego wants something to happen right now, and it's not happening. The ego wants respect from somebody. The ego wants this person from he's always expecting. The ego wants all the time. This didn't happen, so I should be depressed. That didn't happen, so I should be depressed. Always expecting. Ego wants to expect. I'm expecting this. I expected better results. I expected to make more money today. So your expectations didn't get filled, so you're going to be depressed. You have to focus on, instead of always having, focus on being. You don't have to always expect. Stop expecting. When you come with low expectations in life, you get everything. When you come with high expectations, you get what? Zero. You get disappointed all the time. Always expecting from people, you're going to get zero. So why is Bodhidut so important talking to God? It's because it's an act of humility. It's telling God, listen God, I'm coming here because I need to speak to you because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Am I going in the right direction? Am I not? What am I doing? So when your person is humble, when God sees that you're humble, He helps you. He helps you. He helps the person when he sees he's humble. When the guy thinks he's in control of everything and he wants to control his whole life and control everybody around him, then life is out of order for him. And then your alarm goes off in your brain. It's like you have a car, and every single minute something doesn't go your way. What's going on? What's going on? And then this is where all the anxiety attacks come from. Did you ever hear of so many people having anxiety attacks? Some people did you ever hear of all these words? OCD, ADHD. I've never seen so many. There's no more letters anymore. They don't even know. They don't have letters anymore. America makes money when you're sick. They don't make money when you're healthy, and they don't make money when you're dead. As long as they can keep you sick, you're good. As long as they can keep you sick. That's the key. Just get the guy addicted to Zoloft, get the guy addicted to prescription pills, then he's going to say, I can't live without him. Even though there's studies showing that through exercise has the same effect as Zoloft. There's studies showing that if you change your diet, you have a better chance of getting out of depression than a prescription pill. There's already studies showing this. There's tons of studies. But no, people want the easy way out. If you talk to God, you will change everything in your life. You will and you have clarity. And then you won't react to things. Because if you program yourself that every single day I know I have a situation at work. Every single day I have a situation at work. I know I have an appointment with God to talk about the problem. There was a study that came out that when people had an appointment to talk to God, when people had an appointment to talk to a therapist, they didn't even talk to the therapist yet. As long as they made an appointment, sometimes they didn't even talk to the therapist. They said, you know what, I feel better automatically. They didn't even give the guy an insurance card. I feel better automatically. Imagine talking to God. If you get yourself, that's why you have to change your day-to-day habits. You got to change that. You got to squeeze 10 minutes. I'm not going to tell you to do an hour, but you got to find a way to squeeze 10 minutes in the day to talk to God and start talking and developing a relationship. Once you get that relationship going, your life will change. Everything he's going to tell you. Seeks a strategy. Why are you trying to get strategies from other people? Why are you trying to get strategies from other people? But many people will tell you, you know what? It's better to learn Torah. But I'm depressed. Yeah, it's better to learn Torah. Yes, you can learn Torah also, but you can also talk to God. What's the purpose? Who's giving you the Torah? What's the purpose? How do I know what I'm doing is correctly or not? How do I know what I'm doing? So the bottom line is a person has to be able to have this he's got to change the way he thinks. If coins keep on falling out of your pocket, you shouldn't go get a second job. You should find out why coins are falling out of your pocket. Right? You're getting a second job. Why money keeps on falling? Let's get a second job. Why don't you try to fix why the coins are coming out of your pocket? I'm not even telling you to go to climb. Do you understand common sense? Nothing I'm saying is something from anywhere else but common sense. I don't think you heard anything else tonight, but anything but common sense that you believe. You know what? You're right. Why didn't I do that? Is there anything else that I'm not telling you it's common sense? Every single thing is common sense. So there's a lot of, you have to understand something. In the world that we're in, pain is going to be constant. You're always going to have pain. We came up with a great formula that I read in a psychology book. Pain is constant. You're always going to have some kind of pain. Suffering is optional. That's where it's up to you. Suffering is optional. Pain is coming all the time. All the time, your life is never going to go the way you want it to go. No matter who you are, it's never going to go the way you want it to go. It's just the way life is. But suffering is optional. So what's a good formula that we had? It says the amount of suffering you have in your life, we spoke about it this week, is whatever pain you have and how much you resist the pain. According to your resistance is how much suffering you have. Does everybody understand that? You have pain. I have a pain. For example, I have a pain, my deal fell through. My suffering over worrying about that deal is going to be dependent on what? How much time I spend resisting that pain. If I don't resist, I say, you know what? This deal is probably better that I didn't make the deal. Or Hashem didn't want it to happen. Thank God. then there's no pain, then there's no suffering. But if you resist the pain, then suffering gets greater. According to your resistance and how much you don't want to take pain. So sometimes Hashem has to, unfortunately, he's trying to fix a guy, and what he does, he wants to give him a little smack, a little smack with money. You know what, you got a ticket for $100 or $1,000, whatever it is. Let's see how he reacts to that $1,000. If he takes it b'simcha, Hashem says that's your atonement for the sin you did. There's a price to pay for everything, guys. So that $1,000, he's happy, walks away. The other guy, that $1,000, he doesn't want to lose the $1,000. Why are you doing this to me, God? Why are you making me lose money? What did I do? Why me? Oh, you're resisting the pain. You don't get it. You should have been fined $10,000. I let you off cheap. So now I have to hit your health. Now I have to hit your health. Now you're going to be in the hospital, God forbid, or in a doctor's. Doctor, I think I have an ulcer because I've been worrying about the $1,000 I lost. That page could have been finished a long time ago. All you had to say is thank you. You don't want to take the ulcer? Something else happens, God forbid. I don't have to suffer. Suffer is optional. Pain is coming. Suffering is optional. It depends on how you take it. Sometimes Hashem hits you with something. I said, you know what? It was meant to lose it. I'd rather it be this than my health. I'd rather it be this than something else. Kapara, thank you, Hashem. Because I know that everything has a price. I'm not going to sit there and go against myself. I know if I resist this, I'm going to have bigger ones. I'm my own worst enemy. You complain about something stupid, you're going to have something really to complain about. Right? We know this from the Parsha. When the spies complained, they complained about how the land, let me tell you, now you're going to have something to really complain about. And every single day, Tisha B'Av, we're mourning for the complaint for no reason. That's what we're mourning for. We're mourning. Tisha B'Av is all about a mourning for complaining for absolutely no reason. So you have that, you're a miniature world we spoke about yesterday. Last week. You're always attracting some kind of energy to you. Good energy or bad energy. That's what you have to focus on what you think about. Remember, your brain is called neuroplasticity. That means you can form it, you can change your brain. The brain can change, it can expand all the time. People think, my brain is here. No, you can actually change it. If you think positively, if you think grand, if you think Hashem's, you have emunah, you're able to come up with strategies. That means your brain becomes bigger. Rav Nachman says, if a person, he should always be in mochim gadlut. His mind should always be expanded. If you're able to expand your mind, then you can get out of a situation. If you fall in a state of mochim kadnut, that means small-mindedness, narrow-mindedness. That means I'm a victim. I'm only focused on what? Problems. Who did this to me? If I'm not a victim, I'm a champion, what am I doing? I'm focusing on what? Solutions. So my brain reacts differently when I focus on solutions and I focus on problems. Different brain. Neuroplasticity, plastic. It actually expands and it comes. You guys should Google. Look up the benefits of doing meditation or Hisbodedut in your brain. Look it up, Google it. See how your brain, it actually creates takes double the space of your brain when a person's done doing this. This exercise can actually increase your brain. It actually increases your brain. When you have a bigger brain to work with, then you can make the right decisions. If you have a small brain to work with that's constantly on false alarms, then how do you get out of a problem? You're always recovering. You're always recovering from problems. Yes?
You're talking about just focusing on positive.
Focusing on, no, I'm not going to tell you everything's going to be positive in your life because it's not.
What makes the difference in your brain?
Your brain's focusing on basically exercising your brain on being in the moment and not reacting to every little thing and knowing that every time you create a false alarm, remember, there could be, if your alarm is going off 10 times a day, there's a good chance that the alarm could break. And if the alarm breaks, then it's going off all the time. It's a panic button. Panic buttons are not supposed to be used all the time. Once in a while, when there's real danger. Back then, it was used for what? When there was a tiger that was chasing you and you had to run. It's not to be meant for when you're worrying about how much money you're gonna or what's going to happen tomorrow. That's triggering the same response as some tiger running after you. That's that adrenaline rush you get. That's that feeling. And when you feel like that, your mind is, the last thing you want to do is talk to God, pray, do anything positive. You want to escape. When your mind is stressed out, what do you want to do? I need to chill out, escape. So what are you going to do? You're going to drink, you're going to pop a pill, you're going to watch TV for 4 hours, you're going to do whatever you're going to do not to help you get out of the situation. You're going to do the opposite. You're going to shrink your responsibility, but that's the Yetzer Hara's main deal. He wants to get you, he wants to rattle you, because he knows if he's got you out of bounds, you're not doing anything. Because once a person's depressed and he's out of bounds, then comes another sin. Then comes another sin. That's the problem. Momentum is very, very vicious. Vicious momentum. That's why I tell people, fear is not real. But danger is real. Danger is real. Danger is what's going through your body when you're in chronic stress. Heart attacks, that's real. You're going to be in the hospital. Look what the Rambam says. Even the Rambam says. Rambam wrote this in the 1100s, before any kind of pill came out. If emotional stress is maintained for a long period of time, one will definitely become ill. Right? Constant anxiety damages the body. Emotional experiences produce a distinct charge changes in the body. Emotions also have the effect on the circulation of the blood and the functioning of one's organs. They affect the body and they in turn create tremendous damage to the body. This is the Rambam telling you. And he's telling you here, he says, contemplation alone reduces bad thoughts, anxiety, and distress. Most thoughts are distress, sorrow, sadness, or grief occur from one of the two things. Either one's thinking of the past, like money he lost, or a person he lost in his life, or you're in the past, or you're worried about the future. That's why you're in a state of constant chronic pain. So his Bodedut doesn't put you, you're not worried about the future, you're not worried about the past. You know every single day is a new day. You have a situation, you must have a spiritual problem. You fix the spiritual problem, the physical problem gets fixed. This is the only solution for a permanent solution in life. So that's why I don't want you guys to get, because once you start, remember, you think you're going to fix your life in 3 days, in 4 days, 5 days? You think it's going to be that easy for people? People tell me, you know what, for rehab, you should try a hypnotist for rehab. Oh yeah, you think it's really to get out of an addiction, for a 2-year addiction, just by getting hypnotized for 10 minutes? You think it's going to go away in 1 minute? No, it's constant work. Constant work. Every day you wake up, I don't care how you feel, just pretend you're brushing your teeth. If you feel it, if you don't feel it, if you feel it, if you feel good, if you don't feel good. The fact that you're doing it and you're taking it seriously, then it's showing God that you're serious and you want to change your life, and then He's going to help you get out of the problem. With anything, with business, spirituality, life, shalom bayit, everything hits the spiritual first. Is a spiritual problem, you fix that, and then you fix it. Hashem will hint to you on what you need to fix. And that's it. Life is not so complicated. But if you're not changing your rituals, you become who you are. That means you have to change something. There's a clearly, it says, a person's very simple. I made that choice 5 years ago to do his meditation every single day, to do his Bodedut every single day. I made that choice changed my life. I made the choice 1.5 years ago to eat better. That changed my life. One choice can change your life. You don't need a lot of choices. One choice, because what? Choices, right, are what are decisions. Over time, become what? Behavior. Right? Choices over time becomes your behavior. Your behavior constantly over time becomes what? Your habits. Your habits ends up being your results. It all starts with the choice to say, I don't care no matter what, I'm going to start 10 minutes tonight. I don't care if I feel it. That's what I told you. You don't know if you're up the scale, you don't know if you're down the scale, you don't know where you are in the elevator to judge to see if your Hisbodedut is good or not. I don't care if you feel it, I don't care if you don't feel it. In the beginning, I would recommend to move. It's very important. A lot of people that they do Hisbodedut, they just sit there. It's very hard to just sit there. You got to create heat. You got to move around. When you create heat, I put music. I put some not music with no words, classical music. I walk in a fast pace. Then your mind starts moving. Then you warm up. Just like when you go to the gym, you don't just start lifting weights. You warm up first. You warm up. You're a little sore. First, you got to get yourself in the mode. You start with gratitude. First, you got to start with gratitude. Only gratitude. You got to open up Shemaim. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Then you get into your routine. You put some music on. You walk around. You got to hype yourself up. And then you start little by next thing you know, you have a breakout session. You fix your whole life. God will send you the thing. Sometimes He'll tell you His Bodedut. He says in another Torah. His Bodedut is a concept of Ruach HaKodesh. It says a person speaking directly to God is an aspect of Ruach HaKodesh. That means God will send the words in your mouth and what to tell him, and to help him and to convince him for what you want. So I'm giving you the open book test. I'm giving you an open book test. All you got to do is just believe in it. And I'm not a crazy fanatic guy. I'm in business. I'm in this. All you have to do is this, and your whole life will change. And you start with 10 minutes, but you can't be. It's better. You could suck at it. But just do it. I don't care if you think you're good or not. You have to do it. It's more, the consecutive is the key. Because remember, we have the ability, and you can look at all this up, you have the ability to build new brain pathways in your brain. Your brain changes all the time. So when you're doing meditation or Hisbodedut, even if you can't do Hisbodedut, if you're not ready to talk to God, start with meditation. Because through meditation even, just calming your brain, you could actually create new pathways in your subconscious. And these new pathways will help you make better decisions, clear your mind, and allow you to react to life completely different than how you are now. Okay? Any questions? Anybody have any questions? No?